The Thundersoul drifted through space like a sleeping giant. The massive battleship stretched nearly 3 kilometers from nose to tail, its dark hull gleaming with thousands of tiny lights. Inside the ship, 15,000 crew members worked at their stations, running the final tests on humanity's most powerful warship. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge, watching Jupiter's red storm swirl in the distance. The giant planet looked peaceful from here, but Morrison knew better. War was coming. He could feel it in his bones. "Admiral, we're getting a message from Earth Command," said Lieutenant Ben Carter from his position at the communications desk. The young officer's voice carried urgency that made Morrison turn around. "Put it on the main screen," Morrison ordered. The holographic display flickered to life, showing Admiral Patricia Hayes from Earth's Defense Command. Her usually calm face looked worried. "Jake, we have a problem," she began without greeting. "Our outer colonies are reporting strange ships. They're not ours, and they're not from any human settlement." Morrison felt his stomach tighten. For 300 years, humans had wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer. "What kind of ships?" Morrison asked. "Large ones?" "Our scouts counted at least 50 vessels near New Colorado." "They're just watching, not attacking." "But Jake, these ships are bigger than anything we've ever built." Captain Lisa Martinez stepped forward from her tactical station. She had been studying alien warfare theories for years, even though most people thought she was wasting her time. "Admiral, if they're watching our colonies, they're gathering information," Martinez said. "This is exactly what the theoretical models predicted. First contact through military observation." Commander Nick Taylor, the ship's chief engineer, looked up from his control panel. "The Thundersoul is ready for anything they can throw at us. Our quantum systems are running perfectly." Morrison nodded, but his mind was racing. The Thundersoul was powerful, but it was just one ship. If these aliens had 50 ships in just one system, how many more did they have? "Admiral Hayes, what are your orders?" Morrison asked. "Take the Thundersoul to New Colorado. Make contact if possible. If not, gather intelligence and report back. And Jake, be careful. We don't know what we're dealing with." The communication ended, leaving the bridge in tense silence. Morrison looked around at his crew. These were good people, trained for war but hoping for peace. Now they would find out what they were really made of. "Mr. Carter, set course for New Colorado." "Maximum speed," Morrison ordered. "Yes, sir." "Course laid in." "Dr. Amy Foster, report to the bridge. We're going to need our alien expert." Dr. Foster arrived within minutes, carrying her tablet loaded with every theory about alien contact that humans had ever developed. She was young for her position, but brilliant. If anyone could help them communicate with aliens, it was her. "Admiral, I've been monitoring the deep space communication networks," Dr. Foster said. "There's been unusual activity in several systems. Not human patterns, but definitely artificial signals." "What does that tell us?" "They're coordinated. These aren't random encounters. Someone is organizing this." The Thundersoul's engines hummed to life, pushing the massive ship toward the edge of the solar system. As they traveled, reports continued coming in from other colonies. The alien ships weren't attacking, but they were everywhere. Martinez studied the tactical reports at her station. "Admiral, I count over 200 ships across 12 systems. They're surrounding us." Morrison felt a chill run down his spine. 200 ships against one. Those weren't good odds even for the Thundersoul. "They're being smart about it," Martinez continued. "Staying just outside weapons range, watching our patrol patterns, studying our defenses." Someone trained them well. 3 days later, they reached New Colorado. The colony was a mining operation on a frozen world, home to 10,000 people who dug rare metals from the planet's crust. It should have been a quiet, peaceful place. Instead, they found a fleet. "My God," whispered Carter as the alien ships appeared on their screens. Morrison had seen many military fleets in his career, but nothing like this. The alien ships were sleek and elegant, shaped like flowing water frozen in space. They moved in perfect formation like dancers performing an ancient ballet. 57 ships confirmed, Martinez reported. "They're bigger than our estimates. The smallest one is twice the size of our heavy cruisers." "Any sign they've detected us?" "Not yet, sir. We're still behind the moon." Morrison made his decision. "Open a communication channel. All frequencies." Dr. Foster worked quickly at her station. "Channel open, Admiral." Morrison took a deep breath. These could be the most important words in human history. "Unknown vessels, this is Admiral Jake Morrison of the Earthship Thundersoul. We come in peace and wish to establish communication with your people." They waited. Space remained silent. Then, slowly, one of the alien ships turned toward them. Its elegant hull began to glow with soft blue light. And suddenly, the Thundersoul's communication system crackled to life. The voice that came through was cold and mechanical, but the words were in perfect English. "Human vessel, you will surrender immediately. Your species has expanded beyond acceptable limits. We are here to contain your growth before you become a threat to civilized space." Morrison felt anger rise in his chest. "We have done nothing wrong. Our colonies are peaceful. We seek only to explore and build new homes for our people. Your intentions are irrelevant. Your rapid advancement is dangerous. You will submit to Galactic Hegemony Authority, or be destroyed." The communication ended abruptly. Around them, the alien fleet began to move, forming an attack formation that Morrison recognized from ancient Earth naval battles. "Battle stations," Morrison ordered quietly. Alarms began sounding throughout the Thundersoul. 15,000 crew members rushed to their positions, preparing for humanity's first interstellar war. Martinez looked up from her tactical display. "Admiral, they're moving into a standard encirclement pattern. They expect us to fight like they do." "Then let's give them a surprise," Morrison said grimly. "Charge the quantum cannons. Launch all drone squadrons. And Nick, power up that quantum storm generator." "Sir." "That weapon has never been tested in actual combat," Taylor warned. "Then today we find out if it works." The alien fleet completed its formation, surrounding the Thundersoul like wolves circling wounded prey. Their elegant ships pulsed with energy as they prepared to attack. Morrison looked around his bridge one last time. His crew was ready. The Thundersoul was ready. Humanity was about to announce its presence to the galaxy in the only language these aliens seemed to understand. "All stations report ready, Admiral," Martinez said. "Then let's show them what humans can do," Morrison replied. "Fire." The first quantum cannon blast lit up space like a blue star. The energy beam struck the lead alien ship dead center, punching through its shields like they were made of paper. The elegant vessel exploded in a burst of white light, sending debris spinning into the void. The alien fleet hesitated for just a moment, surprised by the power of human weapons. That moment was all Admiral Morrison needed. "Launch the swarm," he ordered. From hidden bays all along the Thundersoul's hull, thousands of small drones poured out like angry bees. Each drone was no bigger than a car, but they moved fast and carried powerful explosives. The aliens had never seen anything like them. Captain Martinez watched her tactical screen as the drones swarmed toward the enemy ships. "The aliens are trying to target them individually," she reported. "They don't understand swarm tactics. The alien ships fired their beam weapons at the drones, destroying dozens of them. But for every drone they killed, 10 more took its place. Soon the elegant alien vessels were covered with the small attackers, exploding in chain reactions that tore their hulls apart. 6 enemy ships destroyed," Martinez called out. "The drones are working perfectly, but the aliens were learning fast." The remaining ships began firing spread patterns, trying to catch multiple drones at once. Their formation tightened, and they started moving toward the Thundersoul with deadly purpose. "Incoming missiles," warned Lieutenant Carter from his position at the helm. 60 projectiles closing fast. "Evasive maneuvers," Morrison ordered. "Show them how humans dance." The Thundersoul was huge, but it moved like a dancer. Carter's hands flew over his controls, using the ship's gravity manipulators to twist and turn through space. The massive battleship spun and rolled, avoiding most of the alien missiles. The ones that did hit struck the Thundersoul's shields, sending energy cascades across the hull. The ship shook but held together. "Shields at 80%, reported Taylor from engineering. "Those missiles pack a punch." Dr. Foster looked up from her communication station, excitement in her voice. "Admiral, I'm picking up their battle communications. They're panicking. They've never fought anyone who uses tactics like ours." "What are they saying?" "Something about chaotic humans and unpredictable movements. Their commander is ordering them to fall back and regroup." Morrison smiled grimly. "Not if we have anything to say about it." "Martinez, target their command ship." The Thundersoul's main gun swiveled toward the largest alien vessel. It was a beautiful ship, covered in flowing curves and glowing with soft purple light. It was also the most dangerous thing in the enemy fleet. "Quantum cannons charged and ready," Martinez reported. "Fire everything we have." 4 quantum beams lashed out simultaneously, converging on the alien command ship. The beams struck the vessel's shields, and for a moment it seemed like the alien defenses would hold. Then the quantum energy found weak spots and the shields collapsed like a broken bubble. The beams tore through the command ship's hull, ripping it apart from the inside. Secondary explosions rippled along its length as power systems overloaded. Within seconds, the massive vessel broke into 3 pieces that tumbled away into space. The alien fleet's perfect formation fell apart. Without their commander, the ships began moving randomly, some attacking while others tried to retreat. It was exactly what Martinez had hoped for. "They're confused," she said. "Now's our chance." Carter pushed the Thundersoul forward, diving into the middle of the alien fleet. It was a dangerous move, but it put the human ship where it could do the most damage. The quantum cannons fired again and again, each shot destroying another alien vessel. The remaining drones continued their deadly work, swarming over enemy hulls and exploding in bright flashes. But the aliens weren't giving up. A group of 20 ships formed a new attack formation, concentrating their fire on the Thundersoul's forward shields. The combined assault was devastating. "Forward shields failing," Taylor called out as sparks flew from his control panel. "We can't take much more of this." Morrison made a quick decision. "Carter, emergency turn to starboard. Put us behind that asteroid." The Thundersoul spun around the rocky asteroid, using it as cover while the shields recharged. But the aliens were already moving to flank them. "They're learning our tactics," Martinez warned. "We need something new." Dr. Foster suddenly looked up from her station. "Admiral, I have an idea. I've been listening to their communications, and I think I can hack into their network." "Do it." Dr. Foster's fingers danced across her keyboard, using techniques she had learned studying theoretical alien computer systems. To everyone's surprise, it worked. The alien communication network opened to her like a flower. "I'm in," she said breathlessly. "I can hear everything they're saying. What's their plan?" "They're trying to surround us again, but they're also calling for reinforcements. More ships are coming from other systems." Morrison's blood ran cold. They were already outnumbered 50-1. If more aliens arrived, the Thundersoul would be completely overwhelmed. How long until the reinforcements arrive? 2 hours, maybe 3. That meant they had to finish this battle quickly. Morrison looked around his bridge, seeing determination in every face. His crew was ready for anything. "All right, people. We're going to end this now. Taylor, charge the quantum storm generator." Taylor's face went pale. "Sir, that weapon has never been tested at full power. It could damage our own ship. It's a risk we have to take. Martinez, I want you to lure the remaining aliens into a tight formation." Martinez nodded, understanding the plan immediately. If they could get the alien ships close together, the quantum storm would destroy them all at once. The Thundersoul emerged from behind the asteroid, firing its conventional weapons at the alien fleet. The shots were carefully aimed to miss, making the aliens think the humans were desperate and running out of ammunition. The aliens took the bait. Gathering their remaining 30 ships into a tight attack formation, they came at the Thundersoul like a spear, ready to finish the battle with one final assault. "Storm generator charged and ready," Taylor reported, sweat dripping down his face. The alien ships were almost in perfect position. Morrison watched them approach, counting down the seconds. "Everything depended on timing. Steady," he whispered. "Steady." The aliens opened fire, their combined beams lighting up space. The Thundersoul's shields flared and sparked under the assault, but held just long enough. "Now," Morrison said quietly. Taylor pressed the firing button, and the quantum storm generator unleashed hell upon the galaxy. The quantum storm erupted from the Thundersoul like the breath of an angry god. The weapon tore through space itself, turning the fabric of reality into a weapon. Where the storm touched the alien ships, they simply stopped existing. It wasn't an explosion. It wasn't fire or energy beams. The quantum storm reached into the very atoms that made up the alien vessels and pulled them apart. One moment there were 30 elegant ships closing in for the kill. The next moment there was only empty space filled with glittering dust. Admiral Morrison watched in awe as the storm continued to spread, consuming everything in its path. Even he had not expected the weapon to be this powerful. The quantum energy reached out like invisible hands, grabbing asteroids and reducing them to nothing. "My God," whispered Captain Martinez. "We actually did it." But their celebration was cut short by alarms screaming across the bridge. Commander Taylor was fighting with his control panels, trying to contain the weapon's power. "The storm generator is overloading," Taylor shouted over the noise. "The quantum field is feeding back into our own systems." Sparks flew from control stations around the bridge. The lights flickered as power surged through the ship's circuits. The Thundersoul groaned and shook as its own quantum storm tried to tear it apart. "Emergency shutdown," Morrison ordered. "Cut all power to the storm generator." "I'm trying," Taylor replied, sweat pouring down his face. "The system won't respond. The quantum field is too unstable." Lieutenant Carter fought with his helm controls as the ship bucked and rolled. "I'm losing control of the navigation systems. The quantum interference is scrambling our instruments." Dr. Foster looked up from her communication station, her face pale. "Admiral, I'm detecting more ships on long-range sensors. The alien reinforcements are arriving early." Morrison's heart sank. The quantum storm had destroyed the first wave of aliens, but it had also crippled his own ship. Now more enemies were coming, and the Thundersoul could barely fight. "How many ships?" Morrison asked. "At least 100, Foster replied. "Maybe more. They're coming from 3 different directions." Through the bridge windows, Morrison could see new lights appearing in space. The reinforcement fleet was huge, bigger than anything humanity had ever faced. Each ship was sleek and deadly, built by an alien civilization that had conquered dozens of worlds. "Shields are down to 30%, reported Martinez. "Main weapons are offline." "We're in bad shape, Admiral." Morrison looked around his bridge. His crew was tired, scared, but still ready to fight. They had already achieved the impossible by defeating the first alien fleet. Now they faced a challenge that seemed hopeless. "Taylor, how long until we get main power back?" "At least an hour, maybe 2. The quantum feedback damaged most of our primary systems. We don't have 2 hours." The alien reinforcements were getting closer. Morrison could see them on the tactical display, surrounding the Thundersoul like hunters closing in on wounded prey. In a few minutes they would be in weapons range. "Admiral," said Carter quietly, "I might have an idea." Morrison turned to the young lieutenant. "I'm listening." "The quantum storm damaged our main systems, but the gravity manipulators are still working. If I can create a controlled gravity well, maybe we can pull some of their ships off course." It was a desperate plan, but Morrison had seen Carter perform miracles before. The young pilot understood space and gravity better than anyone on the ship. "Do it," Morrison ordered. Carter's hands moved across his controls, adjusting the Thundersoul's gravity systems. Instead of using them for movement, he turned them into weapons. Invisible forces reached out from the ship, grabbing space itself and twisting it into new shapes. The lead alien ship suddenly found themselves pulled sideways, their perfect formations breaking apart as Carter's gravity wells caught them. Several vessels collided with each other, exploding in brilliant flashes. "It's working," Martinez said with amazement. "But we can't keep this up forever. The gravity manipulators will burn out if we push them too hard." Dr. Foster was back at her communication station, listening to the alien transmissions. "Admiral, they're talking about something called the Thundersoul Protocol. I think that's us. They're treating us like a major threat now." "What are they saying?" "They're scared. Really scared. The commander is ordering all ships to attack immediately, before we can use another quantum storm." Morrison felt a grim satisfaction. The aliens had underestimated humans once. They wouldn't make that mistake again. But that also made them more dangerous. The alien fleet opened fire, sending hundreds of energy beams toward the Thundersoul. Carter twisted the ship through his gravity wells, using the distorted space to deflect some of the shots. But too many got through. The Thundersoul's hull rang like a bell as the alien weapons struck home. Armor plating melted and twisted under the assault. Emergency lights flickered on as entire sections lost power. "Hull breaches on decks 12 through 15, Taylor reported. "Emergency crews are sealing them now." Morrison made a hard decision. "All hands prepare for emergency jump. We're getting out of here." "Sir, the jump drive is offline," Carter said. The quantum storm damaged the navigation computers. They were trapped, surrounded by enemies, and unable to escape. Morrison looked at the tactical display, watching the alien ships close in for the final attack. In a few minutes, it would all be over. Then Martinez looked up from her station, excitement in her voice. "Admiral, I'm detecting human ships on the edge of the system." "It's the Colonial Defense Fleet." Morrison's heart leaped. The colonies had heard about the battle and sent help. It wasn't much, just a dozen small patrol ships, but it might be enough to tip the balance. "Open a channel to the Colonial Fleet," Morrison ordered. The face of Captain Steve Davis appeared on the main screen. Morrison knew Davis from the old days when they had both been young officers fighting pirates in the outer systems. "Jake, we heard you were having some trouble," Davis said with a grin. "Thought you might need some help. Steve, you're outnumbered 10-1. You should get out of here while you still can. Not a chance. Earth's children stick together." The colonial ships were small and lightly armed, but they were fast. They dove into the alien formation like mosquitoes attacking elephants, stinging and running before the big ships could respond. The distraction was exactly what Morrison needed. "Taylor, emergency power to weapons. Martinez, target their command ship." "Which one?" Morrison pointed to the largest vessel in the alien fleet. It was a massive ship, twice the size of the Thunder Soul, covered with weapon systems and glowing with alien technology. "That one. If we can take out their leader, the rest might retreat." The Thunder Soul's quantum cannon slowly came back online, drawing power from the emergency systems. It would only be enough for one shot, but if they could make it count, they might survive this battle after all. The alien command ship turned toward them, its weapons charging for a killing blow. Morrison knew they had seconds before the Thunder Soul was destroyed. "Fire," he ordered. The quantum cannon blast hit the alien command ship like a spear of pure energy. The beam punched through the massive vessel's shields and tore into its hull, ripping apart metal and circuits in a cascade of explosions. For a moment it looked like the giant ship might survive. Then the reactor core went critical. The alien command ship disappeared in a ball of white fire that lit up half the solar system. The explosion was so bright that the Thunder Soul's bridge crew had to shield their eyes. When the light faded, nothing remained but expanding debris and energy waves. Admiral Morrison felt a moment of satisfaction, but it was short-lived. The alien fleet still outnumbered them 50-1, and now they were angry. "The colonial ships are taking heavy fire," reported Captain Martinez. "Captain Davis is trying to draw them away from us. But his ships are too small." Morrison watched on the tactical display as the brave colonial vessels dodged between the alien ships like minnows swimming among sharks. One of them took a direct hit and exploded in a flash of orange light. "We have to help them," Morrison said grimly. "Carter, can you get us moving?" Lieutenant Carter was bent over his controls, coaxing power from damaged systems. "I can give you maneuvering speed, but not much more. The gravity manipulators are running on backup power. It will have to be enough. Martinez, all remaining weapons online." "Sir, we only have conventional cannons left. The quantum systems are completely dead." Morrison nodded. They would fight with whatever they had. The Thunder Soul limped forward, its damaged hull trailing sparks and debris. But it was still the most powerful ship in the battle, and the aliens knew it. Dr. Foster looked up from her communication station, her face excited despite the desperate situation. "Admiral, I'm hearing something strange on their communication channels. They're not just talking to each other anymore." "What do you mean?" "They're sending messages back to their home worlds. Real-time communications across dozens of light years. They have some kind of instant communication technology." Morrison felt a chill run down his spine. If the aliens could talk instantly across space, then their entire civilization knew about this battle. Earth's location, humanity's capabilities, everything was being broadcast to alien worlds. "What are they saying?" Foster listened to her translation equipment for a moment, then looked up with wide eyes. "They're calling for a full invasion fleet. Ships from every world in their empire. They want to destroy Earth before we can spread to more systems." The news hit the bridge crew like a physical blow. They had won this battle, but in doing so, they had doomed their homeworld. The aliens now saw humanity as a threat that had to be eliminated completely. "How long until their invasion fleet arrives?" Morrison asked. "The messages are going to at least 12 different star systems. If each one sends ships, we could be looking at thousands of alien vessels within a few months." Commander Taylor wiped sweat from his forehead as he worked to repair critical systems. "Admiral, even if we survive this battle, we need to warn Earth. The home fleet needs time to prepare defenses." Morrison was about to respond when the tactical display showed something that made his blood freeze. The remaining alien ships were not retreating or regrouping. Instead, they were forming a suicide formation, preparing to ram the Thunder Soul with their own vessels. "They're going to try to destroy us even if it costs them their entire fleet," Martinez said quietly. Morrison understood. The aliens had decided that stopping the Thunder Soul was worth any price. They would sacrifice every ship they had to prevent humanity from winning this battle. "All colonial ships retreat immediately," Morrison ordered over the communication system. "Get as far away as possible." Captain Davis's voice crackled back over the radio. "Jake, we're not leaving you to fight alone. That's an order. Steve, someone has to get back to Earth and warn them what's coming. The colonial ships reluctantly pulled back, their small engines pushing them away from the battle zone. Morrison watched them go, knowing he might never see friendly ships again. The alien vessels began their final attack run, accelerating toward the Thunder Soul at maximum speed. There were still 40 ships in their fleet, enough to turn the human battleship into scrap metal even if they all died in the process. Time to impact, 3 minutes, Carter reported. Morrison looked around his bridge one last time. His crew was ready to die for humanity just as he was. But maybe there was still one chance left. Taylor, what's the status on our reactor core? Stable, but barely. Why? Morrison smiled grimly. Because I have an idea that's either brilliant or completely insane. Can you overload the reactor to create a controlled explosion? Taylor's face went pale. You want to turn our own ship into a bomb? Not exactly. I want to create an artificial singularity, like a tiny black hole. The gravity field should pull in the alien ships and crush them. Sir, that would destroy us too. Maybe. Or maybe Carter can use his gravity manipulators to protect us at the last second. Carter looked up from his station, understanding dawning on his face. It might work. If I can create a gravity bubble around our ship at exactly the right moment, we might survive the singularity collapse. It was the most dangerous plan Morrison had ever conceived, but it was their only hope. The alien ships were getting closer, and conventional weapons wouldn't stop them all. Do it, Morrison ordered. Taylor began the reactor overload sequence while Carter prepared his gravity systems. Around them, the bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency, knowing they were probably about to die but determined to take the aliens with them. Reactor overload in 60 seconds, Taylor announced. The alien ships were almost within ramming distance. Morrison could see their hulls glowing with energy as they prepared for impact. In a few moments, it would all be over. 40 seconds to overload. Gravity manipulators charged and ready, Carter reported. 20 seconds. Morrison gripped his command chair as the Thunder Soul began to shake. The reactor overload was building toward critical mass, ready to tear apart space itself. 10 seconds. The alien ships were so close now that Morrison could see details on their hulls. Weapons ports, observation windows, alien writing that spelled out names in languages he would never understand. Now, Morrison said quietly. Taylor triggered the reactor overload, and Carter activated his gravity manipulators. The Thunder Soul became the center of a controlled singularity that reached out with invisible hands to grab the attacking alien fleet. Space itself twisted as the artificial black hole came to life, and the final phase of the battle began. The artificial black hole grabbed space like an invisible fist, twisting reality around the Thunder Soul. The attacking alien ships found themselves pulled toward the singularity, their engines useless against the incredible gravity field. Lieutenant Carter fought with his controls, trying to keep the Thunder Soul inside a protective gravity bubble, while the black hole consumed everything around them. Sweat poured down his face as he balanced forces that could tear apart planets. Gravity field holding, he reported through gritted teeth. But I can't keep this up much longer. Admiral Morrison watched through the bridge windows as the alien ships were crushed like tin cans. The elegant vessels that had looked so beautiful and deadly were twisted into metal ribbons before disappearing into the singularity. In less than 30 seconds, 40 alien warships ceased to exist. Then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the artificial black hole collapsed. The gravity field vanished, leaving empty space where the alien fleet had been. The Thunder Soul drifted alone among the stars, its hull scarred but intact. All stop, Morrison ordered quietly. The bridge fell silent except for the hum of life support systems. They had done it. Against impossible odds, they had destroyed an entire alien armada. But Morrison knew the real war was just beginning. Commander Taylor looked up from his engineering station, his face exhausted but relieved. Reactor stable. All critical systems online. We're hurt, but we're alive. Captain Martinez checked her tactical sensors, scanning space for any remaining threats. No alien ships detected, Admiral. They're all gone. Dr. Foster was monitoring the communication channels, listening to signals from across the galaxy. The alien homeworlds are going crazy. They can't believe their entire fleet was destroyed by one human ship. Morrison nodded, but his expression remained grim. What about those invasion fleets they were calling for? The messages are still going out. I count at least 15 different star systems responding. They're sending everything they have, Admiral. Thousands of ships. The victory suddenly felt hollow. The Thundersoul had won this battle. But Earth now faced a threat beyond anything humanity had ever imagined. The aliens would not underestimate humans again. Time until the invasion fleets arrive? Best estimate is 6 months, maybe 8. It depends on how far away their worlds are. Morrison made his decision. Carter, set course for Earth, maximum speed. Yes, sir. Course laid in. As the Thundersoul limped toward home, Morrison gathered his senior staff in the briefing room. They needed to plan for what came next. Ladies and gentlemen, we've won an incredible victory today, Morrison began. But we've also painted a target on Earth. The aliens now see humanity as a mortal threat. They won't stop until they've destroyed every human world. Martinez leaned forward in her chair. What are our recommendations to Earth Command? First, we need to build more ships like the Thundersoul. Bigger ones with even more advanced weapons. Second, we need to spread humanity across as many star systems as possible. If Earth falls, our species needs to survive somewhere else. Taylor nodded agreement. The quantum storm technology worked better than we hoped. With 6 months to prepare, we could build a whole fleet of quantum battleships. What about alliances? Asked Dr. Foster. Maybe not all alien species agree with the hegemony. We might find friends out there. Morrison considered this. It's possible. But for now, we have to assume we're fighting alone. The journey back to Earth took 2 weeks. During that time, reports came in from human colonies across known space. The aliens were gone, but they had left behind monitoring stations and communication equipment. They were watching humanity's every move. When the Thundersoul finally reached Earth orbit, Morrison was amazed by what he saw. The home system was buzzing with activity. Shipyards that had been idle for years were working around the clock. New battleships were already under construction, using designs based on the Thundersoul's successful systems. Admiral Patricia Hayes met Morrison at the orbital station, her face serious but proud. Jake, the entire human race owes you a debt we can never repay, she said. Your victory has given us the time we need to prepare. How many ships are we building? 50 battleships in the first wave, with more to follow. We're also working on new weapon systems based on your combat reports. The quantum storm generators, the drone swarms, everything that worked against the aliens. Morrison felt a mix of pride and worry. 50 ships against thousands. Those aren't good odds. No, but they're better odds than 1 ship against 200. And Jake, we have something the aliens don't. What's that? Hayes smiled for the first time since Morrison had known her. We have humans. We're unpredictable, adaptable, and too stubborn to give up. The aliens think they understand us now, but they're wrong. We're going to surprise them again. Over the following months, Morrison watched humanity transform itself into a war machine. Every colony sent workers and resources back to Earth. New weapons were developed, tested, and deployed. Most importantly, the human fleet began to learn the lessons of the Thundersoul's battle. The new battleships were larger and more powerful than the Thundersoul, but they also carried the same spirit. Each ship was crewed by volunteers who understood they were fighting for the survival of their species. Martinez was promoted to admiral and given command of the Second Fleet. Taylor became the chief designer for humanity's new generation of warships. Carter trained a new class of pilots in the advanced maneuvers that had saved the Thundersoul. Dr. Foster established the Alien Intelligence Division, preparing humanity for contact with other species. As for Morrison, he was given the greatest honor humanity could bestow. He became Fleet Admiral, commander of all human space forces. The Thundersoul became his flagship, repaired and upgraded with the latest technology. 8 months after the first battle, the alien invasion fleet arrived, but they found a very different humanity waiting for them. Instead of scattered colonies and a single experimental battleship, they faced a coordinated defense fleet of over 100 ships. Each vessel was crewed by humans who had learned that their species could win against impossible odds. The aliens had made a fatal mistake. They thought defeating the Thundersoul would teach them how to fight humans. Instead, it had taught humans how to fight aliens. As the two fleets faced each other across the void, Morrison stood on his bridge and opened a communication channel to the enemy commander. Alien vessels, this is Fleet Admiral Jake Morrison of Earth. You came to our home once before and learned that crossing humanity was insanity. We gave you that lesson for free. This time you're going to pay for it. The second battle for humanity was about to begin, and this time the aliens would face not just the Thundersoul, but the awakened fury of an entire species that refused to be conquered. In the depths of space, the Thundersoul's quantum cannons began to charge, and humanity prepared to show the galaxy what happened when you threatened Earth's children.